closing deals to opening minds. This is the Mr. D podcast. I'm Omar Andreasen, and we're about to get real about real estate, success, and the grit that it takes to build your best life. Let's dive on in. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Mr. Deed podcast show. My name is Omar Andreasen, aka Mr. Deed, and today I would like to introduce you to Stephanie Lombardo. Now, Stephanie's actually a dynamic entrepreneur and real estate leader whose journey exemplifies resilience, vision, and empowerment. Growing up near Toronto and now based in the United States, she transformed her life, overcoming personal challenges to build a multi-faceted real estate empire through flipping over 200 properties, growing a portfolio of rentals, and raising millions in private capital. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much. Thank you for that amazing intro.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So tell us this journey. So one of the things I want to talk about is 200 plus deals, was that mixed between United States and Toronto, or how did that come about?
No, that was all in the States. I grew up in Canada. I'm Canadian, and I moved down to the States actually to ride horses. So not real estate related whatsoever. And then I found real estate when I was here. So all of my experience in real estate has been based in the US.
Okay. And so what was your first flip like then? And go through that with us.
Sure. So I didn't grow up in real estate. Nobody in my family was in real estate. I actually did the horse thing for a while. It wasn't going to work out for me. And I went to school, I studied accounting, and I happened to get a bookkeeping job for a real estate investor. So real estate found me, and I guess he thought I was a little savvy. I could pick up on things. So he offered me a job to work with him in a small team. So there's just three of us flipping properties. So we were buying packages of foreclosures across the US. So it was like 2015. Obviously, there was a lot of inventory then. It was a little bit different than it is today. And so that's how I got started. So I learned how to flip houses remote. Again, we were buying packages of properties all over the country for a few years until that inventory dried up. Shortly after that, I did start flipping locally as well. So I was doing the portfolio stuff, and then we were also doing local flips. So real estate found me, and I've been doing it ever since. Like, I've had a flip since I started. I think I've always had a flip going, among some other things in real estate as well. But so that's how I got started.
Being that you flip so many properties, what do you think are the top three mistakes new flippers always make?
Oh, top mistakes. I think a big mistake that new flippers make is romanticizing the project. And what I mean by that is, even when you do your initial analysis, if everything checks out and everything goes well, when you get into a project, often I find people, because you put so much time and energy into it, they start to think they've got like the best house, and they start to increase their scope a little bit, right? Let's go and change these things. They start to increase like what they think the value is, because they know how much work they put into it. And so I think that's a big mistake. It's a really big cash intensive project. So not really understanding when the cash is coming in and out. If you've got one deal, usually it's a little bit easier to manage, but really watching your dollars there. Not adding enough contingency, I think, falls into that. And then third, you asked three top mistakes. Honestly, I think them doing everything themselves. I think that those are like the things that are like a big no-no for me, and that you feel like you're going to buy the property, run the project, paint the cabinets, and doing all of that stuff.
So you said two, that's a good point as well, because then I know some flippers that will sit there and they'll do everything themselves. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So that's pretty much not your full-time job. So that's a little bit different, but it is what it is. One of the things, two things that you said, not tracking their cash flow correctly. I think that's massive and that's huge. So when it comes to when you're doing your flips, how do you track your cash flow?
Yeah, and I have an accounting background, so I think it was a little bit easier for me than some who don't have maybe any financial education. But right now, we just track it in a spreadsheet. So whether you're tracking for a single flip or your business, your real estate business, we track 13-week cash flow. But I think having a simple tool like a spreadsheet and just looking at money coming in and out, when draws are expected, when you're taking draws from the bank or paying out to your contractor, I think that's really important. I think even just getting a really good bookkeeper at the beginning who can help you with that. I know there's a lot of flippers who, or even small business owners who don't often get that support. And even myself, because I knew how to do it, I was like, I can do this myself. Having somebody else like just really focused on that and giving you the information so that you can make really good decisions would be my two tips. So a simple spreadsheet and a bookkeeper, I think would be two options.
Okay, love that. And then you put on there not having enough contingencies in a contract. So when you make an offer on a flip, what are the contingencies that you put in there?
So right now, we can talk about the market right now. So right now we've got contingencies everywhere. So we're being conservative in our after repaired value, right? The market's a little bit slower. It's a little bit more of a buyer's market, depending on where you're in. In our market, it is, right? We've got a little bit more inventory. So we really want to list at market value or just under. So that's like a contingency there that's more on like final bottom line. In our rehab specifically, we're adding anywhere from like 10 to 20%. Now, when I underwrite the deal initially, I'll add, we want to have a couple extra buffers. One, we want to have a buffer so that we know that it might come in a little bit above during negotiations. So we initially want to make sure it pencils. And then we want to have a final contingency of anywhere from 10 to 20% on our final rehab budget. 10 would be, we feel pretty confident it's a pretty simple project. If it's a bigger project, we're going to have a higher contingency amount, or if it's an older home. And the thing you need to remember, when I first started, I think this is where I made a mistake in that I want my deal to almost look better, right? If I
Mhm.
didn't have that contingency in there, it felt a little bit more profitable. I felt like my rehab was 50K, whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to make 30 or 50, whatever the number is. And what would happen is I would run into a change order. I'd run into something unexpected, which is going to happen. Like it just is going to happen. There is going to be something that you didn't foresee when you're renovating a house. Like 95% of the time, 100% of the time, probably, there's going to be something. And so if you have that contingency, okay, so maybe you're going to make 30K instead of 35, right? What you're projecting. But if you don't have that and you haven't allowed for that in your loan or whatever, however you're borrowing or had the cash aside, you're going to run into a cash flow issue. So it's not that the deal doesn't become profitable, because if you're over 5K on your flip, you still should be making money, right? Like we're not doing a flip for 5K. So if you go over budget by 5K, your deals should still be profitable. But if you don't have that 5K set aside, you may run into cash flow issues. Now, if you're doing one flip, okay, it's probably easy to manage for you to find that 5K or whatever it is. But if you have five or 10, if you have 10 deals going and you've got 5K of contingency money that you didn't account for, that starts to eat up on your cash. So that's where I made a mistake from just really protecting myself and my cash flow, and maybe checking in with my ego a little bit to say something's going to happen and it's not on me. It's just on the process. It's just how the business is.
No, that's a really good point because I think a lot of people, especially when they start getting into flipping, they start looking at, oh, look, HGTV, they made $100,000, 80 grand. And I'm like, because I remember when we started flipping some properties, I'm like, man, this is nothing like HGTV. This is all horse shit. Like
Yeah.
HGTV just made it look so easy. I'm like, no, it's nothing like it at all. It's completely different.
Yeah. And that's like where that romantic part of it comes, right? You're like, even when I started, I was like, oh, I love the design and I'm going to paint the cabinets and I'm going to put my own stamp on this property. And it's no, you
Mm-mm.
need to be running your business, and you need to be doing things like checking your cash flow and really underwriting more properties and making sure you have more inventory coming in. And they don't show you, I don't know behind the scenes of HGTV, but they've got a lot more support going on in the background besides what that flip's actually doing. So I don't watch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know when we were doing ours, so I would always put like an OS fee. And my OSV would, because you're 100% correct. There's always something that's going to come up. And it was always usually electrical or plumbing. Those
Hmm.
always got us, always electrical and plumbing. So I'm like, all right, let's just put an OSV. And then I remember one of my guys like, what the hell does that mean? And I said, that's our oh shit fee. So that right there, it is our, okay, electrical and plumbing always gets us. So we're gonna maybe put in at least 8 grand just to the side because then that will be that fee for that. Completely
Yeah.
love how you have the contingencies in there. That makes sense.
Yeah. And when we do pretty standard rehabs, like real base hits, like that's what works well for me. And when we have a standard scope of work, 80%, 90% of what we do is the same. So we plug all of those numbers in. If it needs a roof, okay. If it needs this, okay. But we have a standard line item for plumbing and electrical in addition to, right? Just for some of those extra little overages that do come up. There's an outlet that was missing in the kitchen, like some of those little nitty gritty things that you don't always see when you're doing an initial scope, when you're just trying to go quickly right through the underwriting process. So you just want to make sure, like you said, that oh shit fee is built in. I like that. I might take that.
You can use it. You can use
Thank you. Thank you.
it. So let's talk about you being a mom and a CEO, kind of running this company now. Just to let the audience though, before we got on, Stephanie's like, hey, listen, just in case my daughter's sick. So I get it. We're all parents and we have to do what we have to do. But just want to go into that a bit. How do you balance that motherhood with all the pressures of the entrepreneurship?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to be honest. One, I have a really good, my husband is amazing, right? So my husband and I both are in real estate now. So we have flexibility. And so right now my husband's got her, she was banging out the door a minute ago, but so my husband's watching her. So that is really helpful in having a support system when she's only 3.5. So when she was born, it was really I had this major drive to not, I was really scared of losing my identity when I had my daughter as as an athlete and as an entrepreneur and a business owner or whatever. And so I dug in a little bit. I had 6 weeks off. I think you should maybe take a little more time, but I only took 6 weeks off. I had a team in place. So there was a lot of that prep work before in making sure that there was the extra leverage. So it wasn't just me investing in myself or my business, but it was investing in time back with my family. So having an executive assistant, an admin, having a house manager. So I think for women now who are looking to run a business and be a mom, like just outsource all of the other stuff. The only thing you can do is be a mom, right? Like that nobody can replace that. So it's like, where can you get the support? And there's a lot of guilt around that. One, from hiring or leverage perspective, oh, I should be the one doing these things. And no, not necessarily. And then also feeling like there's time away from your kid to work. But I just remember, I know my daughter, I hope when she's older, she's going to, like, my mom often said that she didn't follow a lot of her dreams and things she wanted to do. And I don't want to say those things. I don't want to have that regret. And I would think I don't love that for my mom. And I would hope that my daughter feels the same way. So it's just, showing her what I want her to do. I want her to follow her dream. And yeah, and just know like the mom guilt's going to be there all the time. And you're just never going to be 100% in either one, honestly. I
You
hate to
know,
say it like that, but there's
no.
no balance.
So I'm going to share something with the audience that I don't think I've ever shared before, and obviously with you as well, because being a mother I respect it so much more from seeing what my wife has gone through. Now, me and my wife decided to do something completely crazy. And it was a challenge that she gave me, and I'm like, challenge accepted. 2 months before our first daughter was born, we were opening up a restaurant and bar. I was
Oh,
literally ordering everything right from the hospital as she was delivering, and then Bella was 3 months old. Then the doors opened up to our restaurant in 2017, and then we had our second Sloan pretty much 2 years later. And that right there was probably watching the guilt, the way she felt as a mother, and I'm trying to do the best. She goes, I'm trying to create an example for my daughters, and it got down to the point where I think year 4, she just pulled me. She just broke down. She goes, I can't do this no more. I want to spend time we have to do something where I can spend more time with my daughters because I feel as if I'm not getting the connection, I'm not getting the bond. It's literally I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out. And our real estate company, my real estate company at the time was just doing really well. So it was just a lot going on. And finally it just came to the decision, like, you know what? Let's just get rid of it. Let's just sell it, get rid of it. And I think it's been the best decision we've ever made because now the girls they have a bond, and it's funny how she's like, why did what I'll literally be like in the kitchen and then everything's mommy, 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 and they're like, your dad's right there. Why aren't you going to him to help you out? And but it's just a bond that they have. So I understand, not from a woman's standpoint, obviously, but from a father and a husband looking at what my wife was going through and the guilt. So I understand what you're talking about because I've seen it
Yeah.
full-hand.
Yeah, and that's amazing for her to have the support, right? Same as with my husband. And it's the same. I'll be in the kitchen and he was trying to put her shoes on and she's, no, mommy needs to do it. And it's okay. I'll tell her, I'm like, please just let daddy help. But when I had my daughter Izzy and I was selling real estate, I had a real estate team, I had a property management company, we had a brokerage, we were doing our own flips, we had a rental portfolio, right? So I was like doing all of the things. And my husband was working outside of real estate at the time. And I was like negotiating a deal on the way to go have my baby, locked up the deal, great, passed it to my team. But soon after I had her, I shouldn't even say that. Probably within her first year, having all of these other businesses, I was like, I can't do this. And I started, and I did, I shut down some of the other distractions and things. And not even that it was a lot of time. Like even my property management company, I had my partner, she was operating it, but it was just extra noise. It was just extra things I was holding in my head. And so, in order to have more space for my daughter, and in order to just focus on one thing and try to create a little bit more simplicity in my life, I did. I like shut down the team. I got rid of the property management company. My husband runs our rental portfolio, but we stabilized that. We got to about 29 units and then we just stabilized that after we had her. And like what you said, we created a little less chaos and that helped. And so now she's in school. She's at 3.5, but she's in school full time. And so I'm just starting to scale up my flip business again. I feel like I have the energy. We've got a good routine going, but again, just trying to stay focused to give more space. So yeah, I think it's like there's a time and a place for everything, and it's just a chapter, right? So
No, 100%. I love that. So I'm gonna ask you a question. I don't know if you know yet, but and I don't know if we do. We talked about it, but what values do you hope that your daughter will learn from watching you and your husband just watching your business journey?
so I think you know what, hard work is just having a good work ethic and knowing that you can have, I truly believe you can have whatever you want, but you do have to work for it. That's a big thing for me. It's never, I grew up hearing a lot of you've got a roof over your head and food on the table and that's enough. That's not what I want her to know. I want her to have everything and anything, but no, it comes with some sacrifice and effort. Yeah, just living with abundance and that anything is possible. Yeah, I think those are some of the big core values that I want to share with her, and just being like a good hardworking person, but not having to like work smart too. So
I love
I grew up seeing people working hard, and the guys roofing houses are working hard. I'm not working at that level of hard work, but being smart about it. I
no,
want
I that's awesome. Because so I also coach my daughter's softball team, and I tell you, some of the kids on our team, I just look at them like, why are you here? Because you don't want to be here. And I can just, it to me, I'm like, if you're here, because for example, our daughters, I tell them like, if you decide that you're going to join something or get involved in something, then you're finishing all the way through, whether you like it or not, because you came to us to join, and now we paid for it. So you have to finish it no matter
Mm.
what. And then some of the kids that I see, like last night, for example, we had a softball game, and there's this girl on this team, and I'm like, she doesn't listen at all. I'm like, why? And you know what? And I just looked at her, I'm like, listen, just sit on the bench. Obviously, you don't want to be here. Your parents are making you do this, and you don't listen to anybody. And so just why don't you just sit right here, relax, and just chill? She goes, yeah, I'll love that. And I just feel as if a lot of kids nowadays, even people, we got some agents on our real estate team, like you don't do anything, and you wonder why you're not making any deals, And a majority of the time I tell people like, what is it you're looking for in a real estate agent? I'm like, just show up.
Oh
Just
yeah.
show up.
Yeah.
That's it. Show up. Because the majority
Yeah.
of people don't even show up anymore.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
excuses, oh my God. The excuse, I'm like, you know what? Just stop making excuses. Just own it, and that's it, done. And
Yeah.
I feel as if society nowadays is just losing a lot of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I think it was Alex Ramosi who was talking about people having this. They have these huge goals and ambitions and desires. They want to have this 7-figure, 8-figure business, but they can't even show up on time. They only want to work 40 hours a week. So it's if you want to have if you have this goal and this desire and you understand the path to go there, which as a real estate agent might just be like showing up or calling people back or sending a contract quickly, being available, like some of those like just simple things. If you understand that's the path to get to the result and you're not willing to do that, then you need to let go of the result. Like you need to let go of the fact that you want to have that outcome. Like the kid who's maybe, and children are a little bit hard because I think they're still figuring it out, right? Like the kid who's on the softball team, maybe their parents are really want them to be an athlete and he's not an athlete, and that's okay. But you've got to learn, you've got to go through that process as a kid and learn to follow through and learn what you like and what you don't like. But as an adult, it's okay. You either shit or get off the pot kind of thing, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. All right, so I want to switch it up a little bit. So let's talk about funding flips. Now, do you fund your flips through lenders, through your own cash? What strategy do you use?
Yeah, so never my own cash. We've I've used different methods. Hard money and gap money, right? So using a hard money lender is pretty standard. That's how I started. We would use a hard money lender. It's an asset-backed lender who will loan on distressed properties, and they'll typically fund 80 or 90% of purchase, 100% of rehab. And then if you don't have any cash, you could pair that with a private money lender, friends, family, whatever, for that down payment and some of the rehab starting and that, and then private money lenders. And after I did a few flips and built up some experience and reputation using the hard money and the gap, I was able to find some private money lenders. So we've been using private money lenders pretty exclusively for several years. So I have a handful that I've worked with who will just fund 100% of the deal. And that's been really nice. Now I've been scaling this year, so I've reached a new level, new devil. And so I've tapped out all my private money lenders.
Oh,
And so we're raising some more capital and through some partners with private money and then gap hard money as well.
okay. Do you guys ever do anything? Have you ever done any deals? And I know you say you usually don't use your own cash, but I remember one time when we were doing a flip and it was through a 401k that we actually got one deal done. Have you ever done or structured a deal like that?
I have not. I have
Okay.
not.
Yeah,
But I
that
think
was interesting.
yeah, it's pretty cool too for people who, if you're looking to raise private money, I can't speak for myself and using a 401k, but if you're looking for a private money lender and you've got friends and family, especially people in a higher W-2 income, they can use their 401k, put it in a self-directed IRA and allow you to use their cash to fund your flip. So if they don't have the cash sitting in their bank, that's a really good way to structure things.
I agree. All right, so a couple more questions. This one here might be a little bit loaded, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. What's been your biggest win and your toughest lesson from flipping 200 plus properties?
Okay. My biggest lesson. Oh, okay. High level lesson. My biggest high level lesson was really of who you go into business with.
Mm,
And very early on, I formed a partnership, like a LLC with somebody. I didn't know anything. I knew nothing. And that was okay for a little while until it wasn't. And so that's like a big high level lesson. And there were other many mistakes along the way. But I'll tell you, I've been divorced before, and that was way easier than getting out of a business relationship. I think just being really careful of who you go into business with and just making sure you look really hard at how that is set up. So you could, of course, partner with people in different ways. You can joint venture with people, but I would say, please, like when you're first starting, it's all rainbows and butterflies. Oh, yeah. And I'm going to run the project and you're going to bring the cash and we're going to make so much money. And So just be really cautious. And then my biggest win, I think for me, I don't have one. I could tell you like a good flip if you wanted, but I think the biggest win for me is just being able to really work with a team and like seeing people on your team grow. Again, that's like kind of high level, but I think that's really cool. Like when you can, one, as an entrepreneur, you can create something out of nothing on your own, but when you can bring people together and create something out of nothing, I think that's pretty awesome. So yeah, I don't know if I can share like specific houses if you want, but those are my big kind of wins and lessons.
No, those were really cool. And you know what? The first one really hit home because that was exactly when we did our first, actually when we created our first flipping company, we I thought I had the perfect partner. He does the books, he does the finances, perfect. And it just got to a point to where we just started bumping heads. And then it came down to one point where it was a complete disagreement on a project, and it was a massive project to take on. I said, I don't want to do this. This is not what I signed up for. I said, let's start just taking small little bites first, and then as we get better, as we get more name recognition, then we start going after the bigger ones. And he's now, I want to try this one. I'm like, all right, but it's all on you. I said, I'm not putting any money into this one. I said, I'll be there to help. Anything else as far as helping with the cruise and getting all this done, but no. But obviously he forgot about all that. And then when it got down to the money, I'm like, I told you, I'm out. I'm not doing this at all. I help you out. So that kind of ruined a friendship. But you know what? I was like, I'm okay with it. And it was hard at first, but now you just move on. But yeah, you are 100% correct. You got to understand that partnership at first. It's hard. And even he tried suing me a couple of times, and I just had better lawyers and I won. But it
I
costs,
understand.
yeah, it cost me a lot of money, but I'm like, I am not. I said, I told you from day one. But yeah, you're 100% correct. Definitely make sure that you find the right partner to do what you're going to do.
And I don't think people talk about that enough. 'Cause I guess that it does happen. And I was saved by the operating agreement that he had drafted. But I ended up hiring an attorney because I was like, I needed somebody in my court to just to have my back and support me and represent me in it. And a lot of the real estate education platforms and information that you get out there, right? They say partner with people. And I think that is great. And again, like when you're putting a team together and you're bringing people in with different resources and skills and whatever is great. But I don't think people understand the downside of starting a business with somebody. And again, it's just there's different ways that you can structure it. And it's doing those micro steps. Like you said, starting with a partner, let's just do one, then let's see. Let's do another one, then let's see, versus being like, hey, we're going to be partners. We're going to do this thing forever. And it's just isn't going to happen as you learn more about the industry and what you like, and things just change with people.
No, 100% correct. You know what's funny is one of my best partners I've ever had, people can't stand him. They think he's a complete asshole, but him and I, we don't hang out with each other after work. We don't do our families have never met, but when we do deals, we're on the office and then that's it and we split. And it's almost like we just keep it professional all the way through. And that's it. And he's known as the very hard ass where people can't stand him, but he'll get things done. And then I go in and smooth everything over. But I'll say that people hate him. But you know, he's the best partner I've ever had because there is no friendship there between us. It's just strictly business. Done. That's it.
Yeah, and I think I read somewhere it said something like if you want to have a successful business, if you want to be a good leader, then you can't be a people pleaser. Like you can't just have friends. It does have to be you have to put the mission of the business first, and whether that's in a partnership or with clients, employees, and whatnot. Yeah, I think that's great. Is just having understanding what the purpose is, like what we're trying to accomplish here. So
Exactly. No,
yeah.
love that. All right, last question. All right. So, if you could just leave one deed behind, one action, mindset, or even a lesson for anyone listening today or watching, what would that be?
I think it's like just fucking do the thing. There's so many people, a lot of people listening to podcasts and reading books and going on YouTube. Like all of the information is there. Like you just got to get in the game You got to learn the lessons for yourself, especially in real estate. I'm going to tell you all my mistakes on all of my houses, and you're going to buy your first deal and there's going to be something different. So it's just getting in the game and knowing that you can make it happen. You're going to learn. You just fail fast, but just get in the game. And if you keep talking about it and you don't do it, then just let go. Let it go.
No, I love that. I love that. Yeah, just nothing's ever going to be 100% perfect, right? So it's just one of those, if it's in there, just jump in. You're going to mess up. I remember when we first started doing these podcasts, it was horrible. Now through time, it's been polished a lot better. I've been getting more comfortable. So no, you're right. Just jump in, do it, the hell with it. It's never going to be perfect.
That's right. Yeah.
I love that. Love that. Guys, I want to first off, Stephanie, thank you so much for taking time
It's awesome.
again for joining us. A lot of amazing information that you passed on to us. Everyone listening or watching, we're going to have contact details for Stephanie, such as her website, her Instagram handles, YouTube, TikTok. So please, if you have any questions, maybe that I did not ask, if you want to dive into further, please feel free to reach out to her. But just wanted to thank you again for coming on the show. And guys, so listen, thank you so much for listening to the Mr. Deed podcast show. Please remember, action actually builds empires. Stay focused, stay hungry. Sometimes you just got to give life a little bit of whammo. I'm Omar Andreasen, also known as Mr. D. Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast. Take care.
This is Omar Andreasen signing off and reminding you that success in real estate and in life is built one deed at a time. Until next time, keep it real, stay sharp, and don't forget to give life a big whammo and keep moving forward.